Hello, everyone. This is Aaron St. Dennis. Find me everywhere at FF Mad Scientist. Welcome to the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe. That was kind of a weird one. I've never had to say it before. I've done the Mad Science Lab and I've done Welcome to the Fantasy Football Universe. This is the first time off season. I've delved into my own little show here, so I had to combine the two. Today, I am being joined not only for the first show, but for the first series of the team previews, joined by Evan. You'll find him on Twitter at SoCalBallNerd. How's it going, man?
All good, Aaron. Yeah, man. First episode. Happy to be the first one on to jump in the lab and talk a little Charger football here, as we said, in the end of June, talking some fantasy football. And who knows what this will bring when we actually get into August and September, but plenty to talk about, man. So
I'm much more excited this year. This was my very first series as a podcaster last year, and I didn't really know anyone, so I just took anyone I could find to talk any team. And like there were people who hated the team they stepped in for. So this year, I think I know enough people where I can find actual analysts who are fans of most of the teams. So one sec. Of course, I go live and I have a 9-year-old in the other room screaming at his Oculus Quest. So
that
don't
never
mind
fails.
me.
I had someone in the background when I was about to jump on, and I'm like, I'm just waiting on you to leave the room so I can click this link. So, we do what we do. But hey, and now you got enough people where if they don't like the team, they at least have the knowledge to be on the show, right?
Well, it's funny because the other day, so I posted the comment on Twitter saying, "Hey, looking for people for each team." Sure enough, first 3 people who responded all wanted the same team. I'm like, "Come on, guys!" But so we are going to actually before we get into it, do you want to tell everyone what it is you do and where they can find you?
Yeah, luckily there's probably not that many people jumping at the Chargers, so I guess that's the one positive to being a Charger fan. There's not many others, but as you said, man, I'm Evan at SoCal Ball Nerd on X. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me with the sports affiliation at the Sports of Philly. Check out the YouTube. It's the Sports Affiliation on YouTube, thesportsaffiliation.com. So everything tied into the sports affiliation there. Pretty much run everything through X. We did just launch a Discord about a month ago. So we got, football, baseball, basketball, betting, fantasy, everything kind of tied into the Discord. So the sports affiliation on Discord as well is brand new. So yeah, hit me up on X, man. Follow me there. You got any questions? I'll lead you the right way.
Sounds great. Let's get into your team here, the LA Chargers, 15th in the AFC. So by that my count, that's second last. Who was last?
Was
Raiders.
Denver worse than they were?
Denver, someone in the AFC West, eh? Someone was worse. So, anyways, they finished 5-12. So we will skip down. We're going to take a look at the schedule later. That's how we're going to close it off. For now, let's just look at the Chargers offensive depth chart. We've got this all on our website, fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Got the offensive depth chart and the defensive depth chart. It's got ECR, their best, their worst, their ADP, all that fun stuff. Again with the damn kids. I swear to God, I could have a quiet as a church house for 12 hours, and the second I go live, it's a circus. But okay, so we'll get started here. We've got the QB room is an obvious one. This is Justin Herbert's job. He is going ECR QB 16 or 6. Yeah, QB 16 here. I'm trying to figure out how that goes. Yeah, that would be QB 16, not 16 overall. I guess 16 overall maybe in Superflex, but even that, I don't think it's that high. But needless to say, QB 16 for Justin Herbert. He's going to beat out Easton Stick and Max Duggan, but that's the lowest I think I've ever seen him since the day he stepped on an NFL field. And I may be, well, I think you're going to agree with me because you're a Chargers fan, but I've been getting Herbert everywhere. Am I being foolish here? Still buying back in? I think I get he wasn't great last year and there's no weapons here for the most part, but I think the hatred's gone too far and he shouldn't be falling outside the top 12 for me. What do you think here of Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I think the hatred has gone too far. I mean, obviously, as a Charger fan, I want to see him be successful for the team to be successful. And, last year was a wash for this team and a wash for Justin Herbert, right? Another injury for him, a very, very bad offensive line. This team was not on the field to really move the ball the way we saw Justin Herbert move the ball in previous years. And even with that said, I mean, as bad of a year as he had, I think he finished QB 17, which, don't get me wrong, that's awful for where you were taking him or where you had him on a dynasty team. You know, what, 16 there? Okay, sleeper. I think.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that. That's the final column here. That's what his rank was last year. So he did. You were right. He's going 16. He finished 16.
So obviously where he finished to the hopes we had is not anything, that we like to see. But, we saw him feed Keenan Allen. I know that name-wise they've lost players, but if you look at this team, right, they drafted Joe Alt. They have Rashawn Slater coming back. They fixed some things where it matters to get Herbert to be able to, succeed. And when you look at Justin Herbert, he's efficient, right? I'm thinking about, Greg Roman and Harbaugh and the offense they're going to run. And yes, they're going to be a run-heavy team, but Justin Herbert is efficient. And you look at these Ravens offense of the past few years outside of Lamar running, they score points, man. They move the football. They get first downs. And those teams haven't exactly had a litter of just names on the depth chart, right? It's been Mark Andrews and a bunch of rando wide receivers and Zay Flowers, who, give or take, some think he may make that step up. Some may think he is who he is. But again, that's kind of been their best option. You now have Aladdin McConkey there. You have Joshua Palmer that when he's on the field, we'll get into those guys. I think that for where Herbert's at, I think as long as he's healthy, he's getting a top 12 finish, which means if you're getting him at that 16 spot and he can hit 9, 10, man, possible top 10 quarterback, he's just too good. The arm talent's there. You watch this guy throw, man. He is a hell of a quarterback. Like I said, efficiency is what comes to mind. And I think this team's going to move the ball and get first downs, have an opportunity to score a lot more touchdowns than they did last year. And as of now, he's fully healthy. And that's a big deal because last year he was dealing with the hand multiple times. And the year before, he played probably 60% of the season with broken ribs. I could barely breathe with a sore rib. So,
yeah. I got him the other day at the end of the 4th round in a dynasty startup, and that's my point there. At that point, it's free, but you can't lose on that. Obviously, he's the easy one. It's the other names that you mentioned here that we're going to get into, like running back and wide receiver, and that's where it gets interesting because the Chargers seem to be one of the teams like the Commanders for me, where I'm just loading up on these guys because they seem like free bets where for running backs, we've got Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Kamani Vidal, Isaiah Spiller, Jared Patterson, Elijah Dotson. Okay, so I'm out on J.K. Dobbins because of the injury. Not a fan of Isaiah Spiller. But I've had a ton of drafts where late I've handcuffed Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal together because I think they could be a pretty good duo here. And if one goes down, I think like Kamani Vidal, I think is awesome. And Gus Edwards has always been solid. And like I said, these guys are going running back 31, running back 71. They're free. And I don't know. These are the guys I'm targeting late. I get it. They're not going to be my RB1 unless there's an injury. Maybe Gus could be an RB2, but I just think this is one of the teams where there's nothing flashy, and you'll see that at wide receiver. There's nothing flashy at running back or wide receiver here, but there is some potential where you could have a decent sleeper and probably find your way into a decent flex-worthy player or even a bye-week replacement running back and someone who could be consistent. What are your thoughts here in the running back room?
Yeah, I mean, I back on kind of the offense, feeding off of what I said about Herbert. They're going to move the football. They're going to run the football. They're going to be in the red zone. I think this team is set up with Greg Roman to score a lot of touchdowns in the regular season, right? Whether that translates into winning football games or not, we'll see. But when we're talking about fantasy, I mean, hey, if the defense gives up more points, then that's even better for these guys on offense, So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. All Gus Edwards did was score 12 touchdowns, right, on 23 red zone attempts, I think, last year. I mean, and he's got the same offensive coordinator. He's going to get the ball in the red zone, right? I do think we'll see Herbert use his legs a little more in this offense, but he's still not going to be a guy like Lamar at the goal line taking carries away from the running back. And at the goal line, it's Gus Edwards. So if this offense is moving the ball and has red zone opportunities, Gus Edwards scoring 10-plus touchdowns again this season, to me, I don't want to say seems like a given, but if he's the number one workhorse on the team, it kind of seems like a given that he's in that 10-plus ballpark. I mean, and so at the 31st best running back, Yes, I'll get Gus everywhere. And I like Vidal too. The only thing I worry about with Vidal, and I understand being out on J.K. Dobbins, and I'll kind of go back to this, is the Dobbins role in Greg Roman's offense is a thriving role, a role he likes to use, and it can be a fantasy relevant role throughout the season. If Dobbins can stay on the field, how much will we see Vidal? But are you willing to risk that pick on Dobbins with the injuries he's had?
No.
So, and at that point, it's not a throwaway pick, but where you're getting these guys, I mean, take a stab on Vidal. Like I said, that role, the Dobbins role, if you will, that was in Baltimore, is something Greg Roman wants to utilize. Didn't utilize as much because Dobbins went down, right? Then even, Keaton Mitchell went down. So I think he wants to use that kind of running back a lot more. And where you're getting Vidal at in a draft, being your, fifth running back on your roster, probably. I mean, a guy that's at the end of your bench type deal. And if something happens to Gus, like you said, he's got as good a chance to step in. But even without that, he just fits this role. And I know the draft capital's not there, right? I mean, a 6th round pick isn't what you're really looking for in a fantasy rookie running back. But I think because of where he landed and the role that he could play, man, if Dobbins isn't out there, Vidal's going to get a chance to be that guy. Like you said, we haven't seen Spiller. I don't think this regime comes in and it's like, oh, we love Isaiah Spiller. Like he's just still kind of floating around. The other two guys, don't mean much there. So I'm with you, man. I think it's all about value. Where you can get these guys, they're well worth the pick at those spots.
I like Dobbins, but for me, between college and the NFL, that's 3 huge, massive, serious injuries in 5 years. I just don't think that even if he is able to return to full speed, it's not going to be till next year. And I'm just not betting on it. And Vidal, like even in the alleged expert startup drafts, I'm getting Vidal in like the 20th round. So imagine when you go into a regular dynasty league with non-experts and people who are going to have to Google him to even find out who the hell he is. So that's why like I said, I have a ton of stacks, and every team where I have one, I have the other in Edwards and Vidal. The wide receiver room is interesting here. Early on in the process, I was a big believer of Ladd McConkey. I liked him. I get he's kind of a glorified slot receiver. My worry is that everyone else liked him so much that his price is now getting towards his ceiling. Never been a huge Josh Palmer guy. I loved Quentin Johnston as far as physical attributes go. I could not be more in on Quentin Johnston physically wise. The way he plays, I could not be more out. So Quentin Johnston to me is the guy I've been targeting, just because I think that of all the players on this team, he projects to be the most like the Calvin Johnson alpha wide receiver, just a big, strong alpha. I don't think he has it in him. I just, there's really that potential there. DJ Chark, I don't mind as a late round sleeper. Brendan Rice, Darius Davis, Cornelius Johnson. Like this is one where I don't really believe in one so much. Like I want to diversify here and there and get a couple of shares of each. And, I'm in 70 something leagues. So I think I've got a few Johnson shares. I've got only one, I think McConkey, because he's going too high. Chark, I don't mind. Palmer, I don't mind. I don't love this wide receiver room. I think someone's going to provide value, but it could be like a Giants wide receiver room last year where maybe you're never really going to know who the guy is each week. And, what's a blow up game going to look like for these guys? But I think if I had to put money on one of them, I'd go Quentin Johnston. But I see that a lot of people are going Ladd McConkey, which is probably why I'm also going Johnston. He's significantly cheaper than McConkey now. What's your thoughts here on this wide receiver core?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at them on the field for, an NFL team, and like I mentioned, with kind of Baltimore's offense being kind of just a list of players, right? You're banking on the way the offense is ran, the running game. Obviously now Herbert's efficiency. I think he'll be able to spread the ball around to these guys, and I think they'll all be able to contribute. But when we're looking at fantasy, that, okay, great, they're going to contribute on the field, but does that mean that, we're going to get 70 catches from Palmer, and we're going to get 74 from McConkey, and we're going to get, 60 from Quentin Johnston with some big long plays? And, is he going to be a red zone target? I do like Ladd. I think that, everybody's talking about, okay, Keenan's gone. He's the slot guy. My only one, not concern, but just kind of step back is, remember last year that they did have Kellen Moore And the slot guy there is just fed. Like, so looking at like Devontae Smith in Philadelphia, like he really could see an uptick in that offense. Not that he wasn't used already, but maybe they're just not hammering away at McConkey the way they hammered at Allen last year. And I don't think that's a way to win football games either, right? Just continuing to go there. And come on, this isn't Keenan Allen. This is Ladd McConkey. And I like the guy. I think he's got great hands. I think he's got the ability. But to call him Keenan Allen right now after the career that Keenan's had, like, I just can't do that. So I don't think the offense is, hey, we're just going to get the ball in Ladd's hands the way we wanted to get it in Keenan's hands. Does it develop into that possibly? I could see that. But Joshua Palmer as well, man, this is a guy, when he has been on the field, man, he's really good. He's really good, right? I mean, average 15-plus yards, per reception, just not getting a lot of those receptions. Can't stay on the field, but Herbert trusts him, right? Herbert knows him. They have a rapport. And, man, so I like him too. It's hard to know where it's going to go. So like I said, if I have a lot of teams like you do, I don't mind getting these guys in different spots. And obviously I like value too. So the fact that everybody's kind of in on Ladd, I feel like other players that are available there, I'm probably not getting him. But when it gets down to Quentin and Palmer, I'm like, okay, I'm taking a stab somewhere. I can see why a healthy Palmer's worth it. And Quentin Johnston, first-round pick. But like you said, man, the metrics and the on-field to the eye, nothing in year one. And I love year two players, man. I love year two breakout guys. Give me a little something your rookie season, and I'm in, right? But he gave us nothing, Aaron. He gave us nothing. I mean, nope, nothing. When he was on the field and Keenan wasn't out there and Williams wasn't out there, he still gave us nothing, right? Like, so even in those games, those four or five games, you take that sample size and extrapolate it over a 17-game season, there's nothing exciting there. The only thing that's exciting is the lack of depth in this room, his physical nature and ability, the star quarterback, and the fact that he is going to be on the field, and it is a new regime. Maybe we see a way that he gets in. So where he's being taken, I don't mind taking a stab. But again, I'm definitely not going to be surprised if he doesn't turn into the guy that we hoped he would.
All right, we got to get moving a bit here. So let's close it out with tight end. They've got Donald Parham, Hayden Hurst, Will Dissly, Stone Smart. I think for the most part, it's past time for Hurst and Dissly. I love the traits in Donald Parham. He seems to be plagued by injury. He's someone where I don't mind if I'm in a Scott Fishbowl deep level league and I have to stash him as my, 22nd round pick in a tight end premium league. I don't mind taking a shot on Donald Parham, but I have almost no interest in any of these guys as more than waiver wire targets. How about you for the tight ends?
Yeah, I mean, I have zero interest. I think you're going to see a mix of a lot of them. I mean, Donald Parham's red zone usage is desirable. I think you'll see him in those red zone sets. And so maybe, like I said, he'll have some weeks where, he gets in the end zone. But you're going to see Hurst. You're going to see Dissly. You're going to see these guys out there blocking. You're going to see the occasional catch. And I don't think there's really no value there for me on the draft board right now. I got to see somebody really take a role there. And again, I don't think they will. I think Parham might score some touchdowns, but that's hard week to week to predict.
All right. Before we get to the schedule, based on the ADP, the ECR here, who's someone on this roster you'd like to target and who's someone you'd like to avoid?
I think I'm going right to the first guy just because there's less questions there, right? There's not as many questions at quarterback. There's no questions at quarterback like there are running back, wide receiver. And one of those guys could be more valuable, but I'm looking at Justin Herbert. I mean, you're taking him, you're telling me in a 16-team league, he's the last quarterback. I just don't see that with what this guy's done the two previous seasons. He is that good. The numbers don't lie when he's been out there and healthy. And I think the team, like I said, Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, the run game, Greg Roman, I think this offense is going to be a lot better. And I just can't see him underachieving at that ADP.
I agree 100%. That was my target. Who you got for an avoid?
I mean, J.K. Dobbins is probably one to say because the injuries, but because he's so low and we've seen what he can do when he is out there, I won't go there. I think I'd have to probably go to McConkey, like we said. And it's just the number. It's the number and it's the crowdedness of these depth charts at this time. We're talking about kind of 3 to 4 wide receivers that we don't know how they're going to be used. And, 3 running backs the same way, right? Other than Gus is going to be the first down in the red zone. So because the ADP on Ladd is much higher than anybody else, I think I would take somebody on a different team that I just have more faith in right now. But to say that Ladd's not going to be good and have a good season, not what I mean at all.
Nope, you picked the exact two guys I was going to take in Ladd and JK, and you picked them for the exact same reason. So I'm on board 100%. All right, we're going to close it out here. We're running a little long. Going to close it out with just a schedule. I'm going to tell you who their opponent is each week. You just say win or loss, and we'll see what record you have the Chargers at the end of the year. We will start it out week 1 versus the Raiders.
That's a win.
All right, week 2 at Carolina.
That's a loss.
Oh, sorry, you cut out on me. You there? What was that one?
I'm going to go loss, man.
Ah, okay. All right. Sorry, can you tell my internet, I think, is lagging because someone's over there on his VR playing so I should have hardwired my internet before. I feel like it's been laggy. But all right, week 3 at Pittsburgh.
A loss.
Week 4 against the Chiefs.
Give me a win.
Whoa, okay. So they go into the bye week 2-2. Week 6 at Denver.
A win.
Week 7 at Arizona.
Loss.
Week 8 against New Orleans.
Win.
Week 9 at Cleveland.
At Cleveland, man. Let's steal a win there.
Oh, nice. Okay. Week 10 versus Tennessee.
That's a win.
Week 11 versus Cincy.
That's a win.
Win, okay. Week 12 versus the Ravens.
That's a loss.
Yep. Week 13 at Atlanta.
That's a loss.
Week 14 at KC.
That's a loss.
Ooh, losing streak. Week 15 versus the Bucks.
Think they get a win there.
Okay. Week 16 versus Denver.
That's a win.
Week 17 at New England.
That's a win.
And close it out at Vegas.
Man, beat the Raiders twice. I think they can pull that off, though. Give me another win.
All right, let's see. Just a sec. I got to go on my scorecard here. 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4, 5, 6. You have a big winning streak followed by a big losing streak. Big swings here for them. They are going to finish with a winning record. You have them going 11-6.
That might
11-6 sounds like a playoff team.
That might be a little stretch there, but I think they could do it. But man, they struggle when they go on the road and play teams back east early in the morning. They always have. It's just a tough thing for West Coast teams. They can beat the Chiefs once. They got some good games on there, but I think they got a good home schedule too. So 11's pretty tough, but I'll be happy with 10. But if they can find a way to win 11.
Yeah. I think at 11, you're going to be higher than pretty much everyone out there. But all right, before we close it out, thanks for joining me. You want to tell everyone again where they can find you?
Yeah, man, thanks for having me, Aaron. I appreciate it, man. Look forward to the rest of the episodes as well. Again, man, at SoCal Ball Nerd on X there. Find me there on Twitter all the time. You can find me with the Sports Affiliation. That's at the Sports Affili on Twitter, the Sports Affiliation on YouTube, thesportsaffiliation.com, and the Sports Affiliation on Discord.
Excellent. Thank you again for joining me, man. It was a pleasure. This has been the Mad Science Lab on the Fantasy Football Universe. If you want to check out the full team preview, head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Check back tomorrow for the next team in our series, going all month long, all through July, right up until August, I believe. So take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.